Okay. Good morning, world. How are we today? Okay. So this morning, staying on topic of what we've been talking about recently, good old Trump, what he's up to. Yeah, so I'm reading a news article this morning where they were quoting statements made by former Israeli government advisor Daniel Levy, I believe his name was. Daniel Levy. Who was basically saying, that everything that the US and Israel are working towards, is to topple the state of Iran and the regime and destabilize the whole country. They have no interest whatsoever in helping these people. It's all about a power grab for both of those countries in that part of the world, so they can continue on with their vested interests. And if they, get to kill a whole bunch more Palestinians and other countries that they take issue with in the region, if they get pulled into it, then so for it, like let it be. With Iraq and even Turkey, which they apparently had in Israel, their politicians were even saying that Turkey was like the new Iran. And so it's like, even during all of this, there is, for lack of a better word, like beef between so many of these countries in this area, really with Israel. And, there's a long history there too with the US. And, obviously they've been trying to spin it this whole time. The US specifically has been trying to PR spin it that, at the start it was, if any authorities from the Iranian government or police or military, whatever, put one finger on, you people in the streets, we're coming over there, we'll be over there to protect you from your government. Remember that? Remember how they were trying to appeal to the people? And Israel has done the same thing, trying to instigate, protesting in the streets and for the people to come out and finish off the job and all this sort of stuff, to turn on their government. That's like, if stuff like that happened in the US or whatever, like, remember when like the Capitol was apparently stormed and all this sort of stuff, like what happens to people who try to turn on their governments? What happens? Because that's a whole conversation here. The US is basically country hopping, trying to instigate populations, citizens to turn on their governments. What happens exactly to people who do that? They get killed. They get killed in the street. They get brutally arrested and locked up in prisons without any, they have to wait sometimes a very long time for a trial. All these sort of things. it's basically like terrorist action, isn't it? That's how it's viewed. And so it's like, okay, we've got the US and Israel instigating the citizens of these countries, multiple different countries, to turn on their government because they want to topple a regime, because they want countries to destabilize and collapse. They want to, they're very, strategic about it, with their propaganda, with their infiltration, with, what are they called? Like instigators of violence in the streets and things like that. With the messaging that they send out to the people of that country to try to manipulate them into acting a particular way, thinking a particular way. There's a whole thing in other parts of the world that basically, it talks about the history to do with the US and its actions, genocidal war actions and things like that it has taken throughout history against other countries. And there is a huge fear of Westerners, but specifically of the US, in these parts of the world. Huge fear and a lot of anger, a lot of trauma, that sort of is just ongoing and not even recognised as, not recognised by Westerners, really. Are people in America or are people in Europe or any other Western country, do they think about, the trauma that a lot of Middle Eastern countries and other places have been put through at the hands of the US? Because, they can say all they want. They can say, oh yes, well, it's a war on drugs, and oh, it's, war on terrorism, and oh, that's why we're going over here, and, we're going to find this one bad guy. We're going to blow up a whole country to do so. We're going to find their weapons of mass destruction, which we never find. We're just going to allege this and this and this about this guy, and we're going to go in and sweep him out of his bed, and we're going to bomb and kill the people on these ships, and it's because they were allegedly moving drugs around. There's just like, even with the news this morning about the US have torpedoed Iranian warship, and it had like 180 Navy people, whatever, on it. And the way, their language and everything is just, it's like listening to sickos. The way that Trump talks about, oh yeah, we've knocked them out, oh we've knocked this out, oh we've taken out their army, or we've knocked out their navy, or we've knocked out their the Air Force. He's just talking about it like he's talking about just like knocking over dominoes, but they're human lives, they're human lives. And all the people that are on these ships, these Navy ships, all the people that are in the Air Force that's been knocked out, all the official people, and military and whatnot that are killed during all of the targeted bomb attacks of specific buildings and whatnot. Even them, not so keeping it separate from civilians, right? Even all these people, what are they doing? What are they doing? What have they chosen to do with their life? They've chosen to be a soldier. they've chosen to be a person who protects the civilians of its country. They're people who have taken an oath to serve and protect. You know, they're supposed to be the good guys, right? They're the good guys of a different country. And, you know, I know that it's like part of the war game too, that they want to try to convince the world. They want to try to convince people that, oh no, don't have sympathy for them, don't have respect for them in what job that they were doing before I blew them up. You know, like they're not American. They're not from the US. They're not from Israel. So who cares, right? Who cares about their life? Who cares about their children who are left fatherless? Who cares about their wives who are left widowed? Who cares about the 180 odd lives that were lost when the girls' school was bombed? You know, they really have a way with language, with the reporting on everything happening. You know, they have a way to manipulate the narrative, and I know that's, you know, that's part of their war game too. You know, it's like Trump isn't on the front line with a gun, is he? His gun is his mouth. His efforts in the war are to, you know, manipulate, to propagate thought, to try to appeal to people in particular ways, so that people will, you know, agree with what he's doing and support what he's doing. But really, you know, I mean, I've had a little look around on the internet, and it looks like there's a whole lot of people not supporting what he's doing. And it looks like there's a whole lot of people questioning the legality of what he's doing. And there's a whole lot of people who are questioning human rights and, you know, questions about genocide and questions about, you know, basically on a world level, we all know that there's rules that they have to play by, right? And yet in the last couple of years, have we not seen genocide of people? Like Palestinians? Have we not seen war crimes against civilians, populations and countries in, you know, Ukraine, Russia, you know, Israel and I'm going to say Palestine. You know, I mean, now we've got, you know, so many innocent lives being lost, you know, in the Middle East. You know, I think it's like around 600, maybe more, that are categorized as just civilians. But, you know, there was like 200 to do with that girls' school. And then there's so many, you know, military or forces people. I mean, it's just, I don't understand how there can be any support for these type of actions being taken by the US, by Israel, or even by Russia or Ukraine. And I understand in war that there is the need to protect your own country. And, you know, I know in news media and PR stunts, sometimes that's referred to as retaliation. Retaliation, you know. But you know, is a country supposed to just sit there and get bombed to death everywhere and not do anything to protect itself, not do anything to fight back? You know, like, that's like saying to like an abuse victim, oh yeah, just curl up in a ball on the floor and just keep getting your head kicked in. You know, don't do anything to try to protect yourself, don't do anything to fight back, you know. So it's like, yeah, the language that they're using is clearly to manipulate everyone, and they're minimizing, you know, the lives lost. They're minimizing the innocent people who are being killed, and even in relation to the girls' school that got bombed, you know, their only response so far, and it's been days, their only response so far is, oh yeah, we're investigating it, you know. And this all just comes down to their desire for control in the region, their desire for power in the region, their desire to do what they want in the region and not have kind of like an opposing or an opposition, you know, that has a say. And, you know, now I hear about Turkey, you know, possibly getting on board with the US and Israel, because, you know, a missile was allegedly, you know, had entered their airspace after going over to other countries over there. I mean, that missile might have been going over Turkey to get somewhere else, but it got shot down over Turkey, and now apparently Turkey thinks that it was aimed for them, and Turkey is upset about that, and possibly wants to, you know, fight Iran as well. But it's like, Turkey would be a fool to really do that, because like, Israel has no respect for you. They themselves have been calling you the new Iran. They probably have intentions to take over your country as well. And you know, they would just be manipulating the situation, of course, to get Turkey on board. And Turkey's kind of falling for it, in my opinion. Anywho, I am home and I have to go before Bubby wakes up, because she goes when, I mean, she wakes up when I stop the car. She will probably wake up now. Yeah, so I will leave the video there, but I mean, food for thought, you know, look at the language, look at the deflection, and you know, I mean, obviously they've got their greedy agendas for the region, why they're doing all of this. It's not because Iran was going to attack first, as Trump is now saying. You know, yeah, just once again the clown show continues. You all have a good day. Remember your blessings, pray for peace, and try to stay positive, and, you know, wherever you are in the world, I hope you be safe. Bye.